A striking statement from Moscow, and a fresh twist in the growing Greenland controversy. The Kremlin says U.S. President Donald Trump would go down in world history if the United States were to take control of Greenland. Spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said it was hard to disagree with international experts who believe such a move would be historic. Peskov stressed he was not judging whether the step would be good or bad, only stating what he described as a fact. President Trump has repeatedly insisted he will settle for nothing less than ownership of Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark. He has warned that if the United States does not take control, Russia or China eventually will. Asked to respond to claims of a Russian threat, Peskov said there has been a flood of what he called disturbing information in recent days, but the Kremlin would not comment on any alleged Russian designs on Greenland. Peskov added that it is possible, in his words, to abstract from questions of legality or international law and focus purely on historical impact. According to those experts, he said, resolving the issue of Greenland's incorporation would place Trump not only in U.S. history, but in world history.
Trump has stated his intention to eliminate an alleged Russian threat to Greenland, claiming that Denmark has not taken any steps to address this issue. Could you please clarify if the Kremlin understands what specific threat Trump is actually referring to? How does Moscow assess this situation?
Well, overall, in recent days, there's been a lot. Such disturbing information is coming in. Of course, we are very closely observing everything that is happening, analyzing these events. As for our plans concerning Denmark and Greenland, I'll leave that without comment. Here one can probably even abstract away from whether it's good or bad, what corresponds, whether it conforms to the parameters of international law or does not. However, there are international experts who believe that by resolving the Greenland issue, Trump will certainly go down in history, and not only in the history of the United States, but also in world history.
And I'm repeating it again, without any discussion, whether it is good or bad.
It's genuinely difficult to disagree with these experts.
Denmark and Greenland, however, have firmly rejected the idea. Both leaders have insisted the island is not for sale and does not want to become part of the United States. Russia's foreign ministry has also weighed in, calling it unacceptable for Western powers to repeatedly claim that Russia or China threaten Greenland. Moscow argues the dispute exposes what it calls double standards and a crisis that challenges the West's moral superiority. On Saturday, Trump demanded a deal to buy Greenland, saying on social media that otherwise he would slap tariffs on a group of European nations, starting with 10% in February, then ramping up to 25% in June. Sunday, ambassadors across the 27-nation bloc met in Brussels to take stock of the situation. While those were just preliminary talks, they made a few things clear. Officials would rather negotiate than retaliate, for one. But they are also committed to protecting Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, from being bought or taken over if that is not what its people want.
In my view, there are 3 points. The first, the existing customs agreement with the US, which was supposed to be approved this week by the European Parliament, is on hold. The second point is that we have European tariffs on imports from the United States, which are currently suspended until the 6th of February. These tariffs could potentially come into full effect. And thirdly, I also want to emphasize that there is a legally established European toolbox outlining how we can respond to economic blackmail with very impactful and sensitive measures. And we should now examine the use of these measures and resolve them immediately. But we are constantly experiencing new provocations. We are constantly experiencing a new confrontation that President Trump is seeking. And here we Europeans must make it absolutely clear that the limit has been reached. All of this demonstrates the profound period of upheaval we are currently experiencing. For me, the logical consequence is very clear. We must strengthen Europe and become much, much faster than we are today. And it is precisely in this spirit that our meeting takes place today. European sovereignty has the highest priority for us in the Franco-German relationship, and we will discuss this today on 3. What has been done up to now, but it is a serious situation, and you asked if the transatlantic relationship would come to an end because of it. No, absolutely not. And I want to emphasize again here what I've always been saying. The USA is more than just Donald Trump, and I'm seeing very encouraging signs from Democratic politicians, but also from Republicans who are saying that is not the path we want to take. So there are many.
You know this, but I say it, I repeat it. We are in full solidarity with the Kingdom of Denmark and the Greenlandic people. The principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity must be respected. Lars has spoken about blackmail. I'm also calling it blackmail between allies who have been together for 250 years, blackmail between friends. This is obviously not acceptable. And to my knowledge, it is the very first time that an economic instrument, specifically tariffs, which, as you well know, we don't necessarily hold in very high regard, are being utilized for geopolitical reasons, especially when directed at both adversaries and friends alike. This is obviously unacceptable. We, in Europe and the European Union, must do everything in the coming days to both clearly affirm our capacity for reaction, assert our strength, but also ensure that we can. I was going to say that we should lower the pressure and de-escalate rather than escalate. That is the entire objective for the coming days. They will obviously be very important. It begins with the European Summit on Thursday. We'll also have the opportunity to discuss it within the G7 finance framework.
As rhetoric sharpens and Arctic tensions rise, Greenland is now at the center of a geopolitical contest with global consequences.